Real quick for me, do you have a favorite Bijan Robinson moment yet since being here? Could be off the field also.
I mean, every time you get on the field with Bijan, it's a fun time because he's gonna do something that you haven't seen before. But it was fun to watch him versus the Bills.
You've been playing football, for the majority of your life. When you see, him do the things that he's doing, even though you've been watching for a long time, does your mouth still kind of go like, "Oh,
Yeah,
wow, what the hell?"
It's generational talent. He's generational. You see guys like that. It's once in a couple. Maybe not next generation. Might not see him again, but it's a guy that's going to go down in the books. So anytime you get to play with a player like that, you better block for him.
What is he like just around you guys? What's his personality like? How does he interact?
Yeah, Bijan's always positive. And he has a lot of things outside of football that he's doing too. So, I mean, he's not just a football player. He does a lot of things off the field. I think he's gotten into some acting too. I mean, he does a little bit of everything. So, he's a great guy, man.
Going back to on Monday, I don't know if you were asked it on Monday, but Bijan after the big run had a really nice moment with you on the sideline where he kind of got in your face. What was that moment like, and what was kind of he had the big block?
Yeah, that was really cool. He had a run up the sideline, and I blocked the cornerback, and he made the safety miss and took it 80. And then he came off to the sideline after that, and he was like, "Hey man, like appreciate that. Like it was showing some love." So I always appreciate that. Being able to help my teammates get in the end zone, man. But you have a player like that can make people miss and get on the second level and become an explosive threat. Like I said, you got to block for him.
Is blocking something you've maybe focused on more in the NFL, or did you in college just as much?
Yeah, in college, with Coach Bielema, we were a physical team, and we established a run early in the game. So I was always blocking, push cracking, doing things, blocking linebackers, blocking on the second level. So it kind of became part of our identity as Illinois offense and part of my identity as a receiver, just to be physical and kind of play with that edge.
How much pride do you take in that, where you don't need to be the one making the big plays, but you're helping out in those moments, like Bijan's big run?
I just like to win. So whether the ball's in my hands or it's not, I just like to win.
How much do you see out of the wide receiver core being willing to block, though? Because Drake in the locker room afterward was like, that wouldn't have happened without Casey.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about selfless acts. Rod talked about it in the team meeting early in the week. You turn on the film and all across the board, receivers, running backs, tight ends, special teams, defense, there's a selfless act. So, I mean, if you see the way Drake blocks, like some of his blocks when he's blocking down on the line of scrimmage, he's blocking the defensive ends. And, receivers, like, we'll do that, but, we want to catch football. So it's a respect thing. So it's cool that the room's like that. And I like to say we play with that edge.
Speaking of selfless, how would you describe Charlie Warner's role in this offense?
Man. Another great example. And that's probably the headlines of selfless acts. I don't know how many targets he has during the season, but anytime we have a run play, point of attack block, it's Charlie. So he shows up every day to work, ready to work, and he knows that he's about to be in the trenches doing dirty work like that. And that's a huge hats off to him and the way he approaches the game.
That's obviously something that I think doesn't get enough credit, but what else on this offense do you think gets overlooked a bit?
As the weeks go on, just continuing to get chemistry as an offense and have, individual pieces, playmakers here and there. Myself, everybody involved as a team, just come together and every week just take that next step to get better and better and just continue to be intentional with the details.
I remember, I don't know, this was probably training camp, you were saying watching Drake, you learn from Drake just by watching him, the way that he runs his routes, perhaps the way he blocks. What have you learned to this point in the season from just watching him?
When Drake's out there playing, like every week, he's in a mode, like he's a dog. and he kind of gets into like before the game, the nice Drake, you talk to him, it's cool, have a conversation, he's cracking jokes, but like when Drake crosses the line, he gets on the field like he's a dog, like it's savage mode, and I'm a dog too, so I've had my moments when I feel like I'm in that zone, so I know where he's at, and I'm like shit, Drake's about to be Drake. And that's one thing that every time Drake gets on the field, like, nice guy, and it's almost like a superpower thing, like putting on your cape, and like he crosses that line, it's like, all right, Drake London's about to be Drake London.
Curious, after you made that block on Bijan's touchdown run, where were your eyes at that point? Were you watching him go the rest of the way? How did that play out for you?
Oh yeah, I blocked him. He skinnied the sideline, like tight rope in the sideline. The safety, he made him miss. He fell down. His like foot hovered over the safety. Like I'm like, what the hell? And he just took off the sideline. So I'm just watching it, kind of just like I'm stuck. I'm like just looking at him, and he starts taking off. I'm like, he didn't step out of bounds. So I just started chasing him.
Raheem said that he'd been waiting for that moment from Bijan. You guys see him in practice out here all the time. Do you have the same idea that it was inevitable that he's going to have a run like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most explosive guys on the team. Like, we do like these jumps, like force plates, griff. We all test like I don't know what the actual metrics or measurables called, but it's like a force plate. And I don't want to talk about like, the metrics, because I don't know that much about it, but he's explosive. He's more explosive than people think. And obviously he can make guys miss. He's going to make the first one miss almost every time. But when he gets on that second level, he also has a gear that he can kick into. I think he's just displayed that, and he'll continue to do things like that.
Can you think of maybe the biggest person you've blocked?
I don't know if I've had any, I don't know if I've blocked any end man on the line of scrimmage yet, but not big yet, like just like safeties and corners, like DB bodies, but probably get more into the second level, first level guys, so it'll be exciting.
You want that challenge?
Yeah, every time.
Even though you guys are only, I think, a third of the season through now, I feel like you have experienced a lot between the low, the Carolina game, the high, this Monday Night Football game now. How do you guys mellow it out, and where does it like to continue moving forward, let it get too crazy? Yeah,
I think all of us throughout, our football journeys have kind of experienced the roller coaster of emotions that you can have during the season. Like when you do good, I think there's a quote, it's like you're never doing as good, it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems, but it's somewhere in between. So just to kind of balance yourself throughout the season, individually and as a team, I think is super important, just because like football, the game of football, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. So individually and collectively, we just all have to ride the wave and stay in that balanced space.
When
How much-
Raheem was talking to you about these selfless acts or moments, was there kind of a point he was trying to make with you guys of why they're important or we need to do more or whatever it was?
Yeah, it's just to play as a team and continue to, have our brothers' backs.
How much did the swing from the win in Minnesota to Carolina teach y'all about how to handle this week with another big-time win and going on the road?
I think it just adds to the confidence and the fire of the team. In both ways. When you lose, you learn. When you win, you learn. So to have both sides of the spectrum, I think is huge, just because there's a lesson to be taught with both of the circumstances.
What was the lesson that came out of the Carolina game?
Keep going.
What was it like getting thrown in the mix Sunday, and how do you think you did?
It was. I mean, you got to prepare for it as a backup tackle. Like that's my role to be, just come in and get thrown into the mix. It was a little bit like, kind of crazy, like because Jake goes down, like everyone's kind of like I was panic, but like me, I'm next man up mentality. Like I got to go out there and go perform. Being thrown in the fire in the midst of the game, it's kind of hard because you're trying to play catch up to everybody else who's like in their groove and get going, and you're trying to just match their intensity and match their speed like right off the bat from play one. I think I did okay. I feel like I could have did better. always looking to improve. Yeah, that's actually my second game at left tackle in the NFL, so that was a bit of a shocker. So yeah, just steady looking to improve, trying to build off of it, and you know, come back the next week and just be better and be ready for whatever.
We don't know Jake's availability yet, or at least we don't know Jake's availability yet. But how will your week be different prepping to potentially start?
I mean, same as every other week. You know, probably take more reps. Be more down into the game plan, like as coaches being more down with me in the game plan, trying to get me ready and get me caught up to speed. Just in the case that like he doesn't play, just you know, keep taking it day by day.
Like you said, you kind of have to be ready as as a reserve. But
Yeah.
there's one guy that you don't expect to be out. It's Jake Matthews, right?
Yeah.
He's starting like 184, straight games, the most in the NFL. So was that a little bit like, oh man, Jake is out of all people?
Nah, I mean, you know, when you tackle either one, I'm like, I got to prepare for either one of the tackles to go down.
Right.
As a swing tackle, and you know, it's football. You know, you never know what play somebody might get hurt. You just always got to be ready for your number.
How many snaps did you get at left tackle with the starters last week in practice?
I think I had a good amount. I can't put a number on it. I had a good amount, but that's typically like my Friday thing. That's how they work me in.
Yeah.
Give me reps with the starters. Yeah.
Can you imagine starting 184 straight games?
I want to be blessed to be able to do that. That's a blessing, man. To be able to start 100 and what you said, 81?
84.
84?
Right?
Yeah.
I think 183 may have. I think Sunday may have been 183.
183.
183?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a blessing. You know, all of us, we wish we can be grateful enough to be able to start 183 consecutive games.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Durability,
yeah. Being known as Iron Man, being known as Mr. Dependable. You know, your best ability is your availability, and always to be known as an available and dependable guy is what we all strive for every day. But you know, life happens, football happens. You know, the injury bug gets some of us, and sometimes it doesn't get nobody.
What did you think of Bijan's game? We've asked everybody else.
Bijan, bro, man, he truly is probably the best player in football right now. I think his game is he's complete. Can run, can catch out the backfield. You can line him up in the slot. He can catch. He can do everything. I think his game is complete. I like his game a lot.
What do you think about him as a person?
Oh, great person, man. Great person, man. I think my first impression of him is just how much of a God-fearing man he is. He came up to me one game and blessed me with holy water. I was like, I've never had that done before to me, and it just shocked me, and that just showed what type of person he is. Just always looking out. And he always come up to me just trying to, like being joyful, being playful, helping me relax. Man, Bijan's a great person.
He had holy water on him?
He had it on him. He was putting it on me, and blessed me, man. That's my guy.
On a game day?
On a game day,
Where does he keep it? I
don't know where he keep it at, man, but I just know he keep it with him.
What was it in? Like,
I don't know, man. He just came up to me.
Chalice or something?
Nah, I don't know. He just kept it with him, man. And then to protect us out there, that's putting a prayer on us. That's what it was.
Is that something he does with like a lot of guys, or do you just?
Nah, everybody that laces up. Everybody. That's just so that God's always over us, looking over us, and help protect us. That's basically his way of God reaching down to him, and he's just passing on the message.
You asked for extra this week if you have to start?
Yeah.
Come back ready to get in line twice.
I always, I'm always praying, praying for everybody's safety on both sides of the ball, and on both teams. Because, that's the one thing nobody wants to see is somebody get hurt. Yeah. And we all want to play long and healthy careers and, use this game to help us do what we want to do later in life, or just to, help feed our families. And nobody wants to be taken away by injury.
You're relatively new to this team. What's this O-line room like compared to other places you've been, like in Seattle?
I say they're both great rooms. Like, not to get none of the comparison. Just the coaches have just two different personalities. Lefford, he comes from a college, so like he brings that college energy. Coming from when I played with Coach Benton, he's been in the league 19 years, so like his personality is how he treats his guys, how he talks to his guys is like business. Like that's just what it is, and it's just they're both that's just how it needs to be. Led's business as well. But I mean, he brings the juice like that. He's energized. You know, he's in the weight room lifting. You know, that's what he is. So he brings the juice, and we fire up. We feel his energy, and we take it out there on the field.
At the same time, you have to, as sort of one of the leaders of this offensive line, you probably have to prepare in case he's not there. Mm-hmm. So in your role as sort of the next veteran guy, how do you do that this week to make sure that everybody else is ready if he can't play?
Yeah, I think the communication is the first thing, making sure, and this is really more impacts Burge, but just the communication between Burge and, you know, see how it goes, and then, you know, in terms of sharpness, you know, you're missing that presence of Jake out there, but making sure it's a sharp walkthrough.
How'd you think Michael did getting thrown in the fire Sunday?
Awesome. I spoke about it, just like the challenge of going in, I believe during a 2-minute drive right before the half. That's hard, and you're cold. You're sitting there for the longest you've probably gone without moving, and then he goes out there and did a really good job. And so, Coach Ledford, you know, he lived that life as a you know, backup offensive lineman, and so he stresses to those guys, and Mike, Kyle, and Javon do such a good job preparing like they're the starter. And when their moments called, they went up, he stepped up and delivered.
Have you ever been blessed by Bijan Robinson's holy water?
I have, yes. Pregame, he's the best person, most genuine, loving, caring. I think I said a postgame, and just like if there was 100 humans to represent like humanity, we're gonna recommend that guy be on that short list, because just like the athletic ability, the talent, the quality of the human he is, he cares about everybody. He asks everybody, you know, how their family's doing. It's just as genuine as a person as you can find.
So when the aliens come down and we have to give them like our best representative of the human race,
yeah,
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, at least in the Atlanta Falcons locker room, for sure, we're sending him out.
Was there ever a point early in his rookie year where you wondered, is this genuine? Is this going to keep up, or is he just putting on his best face for us? For a while. Yeah,
I just think just something that made him different. I think he got drafted and texted us probably 5 hours, or, you know, it felt like it was within 24 hours of getting drafted. He texted the starting O-line at the time. It was just like very thankful to get to be able to work with you guys. And that was cool. And I mean, it's, you know, a moment that he should be celebrating with his family, and probably the highest point of his life, you know, and for him to do that was cool. And I think that was just the first example of Bijan setting himself apart.
A solid defense is always known for its physicality and guys kind of getting after it. What have you seen from them on tape just as you're preparing for Sunday night?
Just, you know, they have excellent get-off. You know, those guys are hard-charging downhill, and, you know, any team that plays for Coach Sala, like, you know, they're going to be high effort, chasing the ball, looking to punch the ball out, and like you said, the physicality. Obviously, like, you know, losing Fred is a challenge, but, you know, those guys, they're downhill, you know, they hit and run, and they're a very talented group.
Just getting back to Bijan for a second, like it's almost like he defies belief. It's almost like he's not a real person. Like, how could someone be that well-rounded?
Yeah, he's just genuine.
It's not fair.
Yeah, he's just genuinely himself, and we love him for it. And obviously, you're so talented, but in the same sense, like himself, Drake, Mike, like really talented guys, but they'll do anything to have the other people around them have success. So it's not just the runs, it's Bijan blocking so Drake can catch the ball. You know, it's Drake blocking so Bijan and Tyler can run. And that's like those selfless things that guys are doing to strain for one another has been really fun.
Michael was also telling about the holy water thing, and it's kind of unusual. Like, describe kind of what that looks like. Is it in the locker room? Is he walking around? Kind of what's the? Yeah,
he's just he back there. He's just going up to guys and giving guys hugs before every game, and leads us in prayer after games, and it's pure. And Bijan's amazing, and we love him for it. And I don't know. He's got genuine relationships with every person in the building.
What does he carry the holy water in? Like, I need to know.
I'm not sure. I was locked in. I'm sorry. I forgot how it was delivered.
It can't be like a Nike water bottle. It's got to be like a chalice or something, right? Like a little chalice.
I'm not sure.
Whatever you guys had in BC, like when you went to Mass.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Coach. So your player. Talk about your running back who was received the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award today.
Bijan, yeah, can't say enough good things about him. He's playing at an unbelievably high level. In the run game, pass game, he's doing everything. He's moving all over the place, and he's handled everything really well. I mean, it's when he touches the ball, good things happen. So we'll continue to try to find creative ways to get him the ball and know that, his teammates, we were showing a bunch of clips today of just the receivers blocking. Obviously, the offensive line played outstanding in that game. And so it takes all 11 for one player to stand out like Bijan has. But he's doing a great job and just looking forward to continuing to build this thing and keep progressing.
As a quarterback, you may be hopelessly biased, but where you come down on the running back as MVP, honest MVP candidate debate.
Yeah, I mean, best player, is the award. I know it typically is matched up with the QB award, but the things that he's doing out on the field, and he's the best player out there every single time he's out on the field. So, I got no hard feelings about a running back getting the MVP if that were to work out. But obviously we got a long way to go with everything. But no, shoot, he's incredible player, and obviously you guys know him. He's the best guy ever. So it's really cool to see the success he's had so far.
How do you balance getting him the ball as much as you possibly can, but at the same time keeping him fresh?
Yeah, no, it is a balance. You're trying to find those spots, in the game plan, and then also when the flow of the game's going, knowing he can't be out there every single snap. He's played a lot of snaps, and we got to try to continue to monitor, knowing it is a long season, and we got to make sure that we're smart with that. But obviously in big moments and whether it's first down, second down, third down, we have a bunch of different guys and a bunch of options, which is nice. So we'll continue to get it to them as much as we can, but also know that we got other players that can make plays as well.
How did Michael Jerrell do for you in the second half?
I did well. It's never easy coming in at halftime, middle of the game. You get dressed for those games, and you're a backup, and you get thrown in there. But I thought he did a good job. He's only been here for a short amount of time, and he's still getting acclimated to the system and our verbiage and those types of things. But I thought on a short notice, I thought he did well.
We obviously we don't know about Jake's availability yet. But if Jake can't go, do you anticipate you'll just run Michael back out there at left, or given a week now, do you think you might juggle?
Yeah, I think we'll monitor it throughout the week, but we feel good with Michael there, and if that is the case, if Jake is out, but feel good with him. Feel good with Jack Nelson's out there too. He's been rehabbing and he's been healthy. He's been out on the practice field the past few weeks, so he continues to get better, but we'll let it kind of play out throughout the course of the week.
Saleh is one of the most respected defensive coordinators in the NFL. What makes his units so dynamic, so difficult?
Yeah, I think they play hard. You can see there's an intense focus on just everybody rallying to the football, coming off the rock with the guys up front. Everybody's punching at the football. You can see the intentional focus that they do have to take the ball away. But they play really hard. They play really sound. Ton of respect for what they've. Like you said, he's always had good defenses. So we know we have our hands full. They play. I know they're down a couple guys, but to us, that's not really going to matter because we know that they're going to plug and play the next guy, and he's going to play with the same style of play that they play with.
What does the absence though of Fred Warner there in the middle kind of?
Yeah, it's big. We obviously went against him a bunch of times in LA, and he's a problem out there. He's a problem in the run game. He's a problem in the pass game. He can get underneath windows that you don't think linebackers can get underneath. So we know that they'll definitely miss him. I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. So hopefully he recovers well and everything like that. But I'm sure they're definitely going to miss him.
I know there's always a lot of cross collaboration, but given the familiarity, is this a week where you get in Ulbrich's ear a little bit more, in Rudy's ear a little bit more?
I mean, some. We've gone against some, these guys in training camp and seeing kind of the style and some of the different things from a schematic standpoint. But sometimes you can start thinking too much, and then you're chasing ghosts with certain things. So it's finding the right balance. Obviously, we'll lean on those guys with some things, but also just knowing, hey, we got to run our stuff, we got to execute our stuff, and not try to get too schemy, too game planny. We just got to go execute and kind of keep building on what we've done the last couple of weeks.
How do you evaluate the performance of, I mean, Drake obviously had a big game statistically, but how do you evaluate everybody else at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I think we need to continue to get solid play out of the whole group. Hoping to get, Mooney back at some point here soon. But, the guys have stepped in. I thought David Sills did a great job last week. I know he ended up not getting an opportunity with the football, but blocking away from the ball, he did a great job. Assignment sound, Ty's first touchdown run, he's blocking in the end zone and ultimately leads us to score as opposed to the ball being down at the 2 or 3 yard line. So all those little details showed up for Sills last week. And Casey's a guy that, continues to progress. No, he didn't get a ton of ops either last week. But, looking for those guys to just keep building, knowing that, there's going to be a game where, hey, Drake's taken away, KP's taken away, B, who's that next guy that can step up? And we feel good with all those guys and just look forward to seeing them kind of progress throughout the season.
As everybody defensively is emphasizing punching the ball out now, we see it all over the tape.
Yep.
And sometimes it just becomes punching the offensive guy. I mean, how much of a pain in the butt is that offensively for your guys, and has it gone too far, or are you on the verge of you can't just hit us?
Yeah, I mean, there was one with Kyron a couple of weeks ago, Kyron Williams in LA, but that's what, those guys are coaching it, and we're coaching it as well to protect it. That's how we start every single Wednesday meeting, showing, hey, what's happening around the league. We show a bunch of different examples. Michael Petrie, our running back coach, does a great job just pulling different examples of what's showing up around the league. And then we show our own guys, hey, this was good from the game. This was bad. Hey, we got lucky here. We weren't as ball aware as we needed to be. So it's been, over the last, since 2019 when I first started coaching, like you're saying, it's become more and more. So, we work on it in drill work. We emphasize it, in the classroom, in the meeting room, and then on game day, those guys, everybody wants to make a play, when you have the ball in your hands. So making sure that you lock it up in traffic and all those things that, ultimately lead to winning football, because they're, like you're saying, Josh, like sometimes they're willing to punch at the ball as opposed to make a tackle, So it's definitely an emphasis with every single team that you see, and we just got to do a great job protecting it.
Zach, it kind of feels like Bijan provides so many levers for an offense and lures for a defense. Do you have so much fun just kind of finding ways to toy with the defense when you're game planning and designing plays?
For sure. No, he has so much versatility with, obviously running the ball in the pass game. There's really nothing that he can't do. From alignment standpoint, you can move him everywhere, and he's such a smart player too that we are very. It's a luxury to be able to have what we have with Bijan. So it's a lot of fun for all of us as coaches to try to tinker with things and push the boundaries on what we can do without losing sight of just playing good sound football at the same time. So it is. Designing around a running back, there's not that many, teams around the league that it is built around the running back. And so we'll continue to try to find different ways that we can, move him around and try to create any conflict that we can.
It's been 3 weeks now since what happened in Carolina, of course, but then what have you seen from Mike just in general, and just the way he's responded, the way he's played just in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, he's played great. I thought, everybody reset quickly right after that Carolina game, and you could tell that next Wednesday walkthrough there was a flip that was switched with everybody. We've had great urgency out there. There's been great attention to detail, and obviously it all starts with Mike and his urgency and getting everybody, out of the huddle, crisp operation, all those things that we're preaching in terms of the execution and what we can do before the ball's even snapped, in order to execute. So he's a, total pro. I know he's in his second year, but he is mature beyond his years with those things, and it's been cool to see his leadership just ramp up. Even, you go through some adversity, you find out a lot about people. Obviously found out a lot about our guys with the response the last couple of weeks.
Anything else? How do you, you've been on the sidelines the last 2 games, the moment you decide to do that, you look at the outcome, how much do you feel it's made a difference being on the sidelines?
It's hard to say. I think I said it last week, I feel like our guys in the Washington game would have, played really well just because everybody was so ticked about what happened, the previous week. So it's fun being down there. It's been good to get the feedback from the guys and how much, we're all enjoying being down there together, talking between series. I think the energy on the sideline has been awesome, and guys are just enjoying playing football. And so, obviously I'll continue to be down there, and hopefully we can continue to progress with everything. But guys are playing with some great urgency, and they're just enjoying playing the game. It's been fun to just feel their energy on the sideline all throughout the game, whether it's pregame, before the first series, Lindstrom's, trying to headbutt me and all these things. So it's been cool to just be down there with the guys, and it's been a lot of fun the last couple weeks.
The further you get away from that Carolina loss, I know it stings a little bit less and it's less in your mind, but just how do you kind of reconcile that offensive performance and what we've seen the last 2 times out too? Yeah,
it was such a just odd day overall. We were able to move on very quickly just because we were like, man, that is not us. That's not reflective of really anything that we've kind of really ever put on tape, in the last 2 years. So it was, an odd day. We burned the tape and kept it moving, but it was awesome response in the Washington game. You knew the guys would respond the right way, and they just continue to be as detailed as they possibly can each week with the game plan, and it's showing up in a big way.
Is there anything you can point to that is kind of the difference there, or that you've noticed?
Not really. I mean, it was just because I did feel like the Carolina week, we still had a good week of practice, and it still felt like pregame, hey, we're going to go out and kind of do our thing. And obviously came off of a huge win at Minnesota on a Sunday night, and some of those things, do they matter? Do they not? To us, everything feels the same in terms of the preparation and getting ready for a game. So, again, it was almost like a Twilight Zone type of day that day, and thank God we're getting further and further away from it.
I don't know if you've been asked about Casey Washington, but that one block he had where Bijan was able to take off and score that 81-yard touchdown, how impressive was that?
It was awesome. It was something that Coach Ledford just highlighted in one of our meetings earlier today. He highlighted the receiver blocking, Casey on one. We talked about David Sills before you got in here on another. And we talked about Drake numerous times, throughout the game doing what he does. But it was really cool to see. He was obviously got on his guy and just the fundamentals, the technique behind it, the extra strain. That's what those guys have to do in order for us to have those explosive plays in the run game. And they've taken all that to heart. And it was really cool to see a lot of those examples show up last week. And it was a big reason, obviously, why we had so many explosive plays.
Rick was just telling us about how selfless the defense is. The offense seems to be the exact same way. You notice it a lot in the way that the guys are downfield blocking the way that they are.
For sure. Yeah, it very selfless. I look at our offensive line, the way that those guys come together, the way that they chase the ball down the field. Shoot, they're running 15, 20 yards down the field, making sure that, they're picking up the running back, or if Mike gets knocked down, they're looking back, they're picking him up. And then you mentioned the skill guys, but it all starts with Raheem and the culture that he's set here, and it's been really cool to just see the entire team embody that culture that Roz set. It's been a lot of fun, and it's a cool group of guys on both sides of the ball. You knew in training camp that we could possibly build something that was pretty cool here, and it's been a lot of fun to see our defense play. I mean, you're standing on the sidelines, you feel those guys' energy, and our offense feeds off of them. They feed off of us, and hopefully we can just continue to progress and keep getting better throughout the season.
Last one, if I can, really quick. I know you've been asked ad nauseum, I'm sure, before I got in here about Bijan, but how would you describe the second gear that he hits?
It's incredible. I mean, his start-stop ability, obviously, in short spaces, to make some of the cuts he has, but like you're saying, I think there's some miles per hour data that show his acceleration, from 0 to 60 type of deal, and I don't know where it stacks in the league. It looks like it's got to be the best, in the league, but it's incredible. He's so talented with everything that he can do from a vision standpoint, athletically. He has everything. So it's been really cool. But his start-stop, whether it's in the hole, to make a cut or to get going, is incredibly impressive.
Talking about preparation, it felt like there were a few cat and mouse moments between Josh Allen and the defense, but your guys, by and large, looked very prepared. Did you feel that the preparation kind of matched what this game was supposed to be?
Yeah, it was. In my opinion, it was our best week of prep. It's one that we're going to build on. I think we finally collectively understand what it takes to play the level of football that we want to play. And, as a coach, you just love those moments because it just reinforces the idea that we're doing things the right way. And, and the buy-in just gets, deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's, I was glad that they had the success that they had. Just reinforces what we're trying to get accomplished here. But you're right, there was some cat and mouse in the way that there was a few things, especially early on, that we didn't execute the way that we had practiced, and that's on me, that's on the players, and that's all of us to never have those moments, like beat us, don't beat ourselves, and we beat ourselves a little bit early on there.
Coach, you mentioned he had a great game on Monday, and of course he did, but he goes from inside to outside, or outside back to inside.
Yep.
Just that versatility, doesn't seem to be a very common trait.
No.
It seems like something he was able to just pick up and do.
It's rare. When I got here, it was funny having certain conversations with certain people. They didn't maybe necessarily see it. You probably heard me say this. I love to put guys on repeat. Put them in a place that they can master something. Whatever that is, position, technique, lineman assignment, base fundamentals, all those things. And outside corner is as different to the slot or to the nickel as defensive end is to linebacker. It's just completely different skill set, in my opinion. Those nickels, not only do they face, just from a physical attribute, quicker, faster, more challenging routes, because the route tree is completely available from the slot, but also from a zone element, they control our defense. Does he run with motion? Does he not run with motion? They do, in a lot of ways, sometimes more communication, and they dictate our coverages more than safeties do, or the linebackers. So for him to have the ability to do that is really rare. It is, not just physically, but mentally. It was an exceptional demonstration of how important he is to our team.
He's a guy who had an unusual, or an unconventional path to get here. What was your opinion of him as a player when you first got here and laid eyes on him in terms of just his physical ability to do the job?
Yeah, I mean, you see quickness, you see speed, you see toughness, you see resiliency. There were some times last year when I really dug deep and evaluated him where people went at him, and people will go at corners or go at nickels, especially when your two corners are as good as our corners are here. They look at what they think is the lowest common denominator, and it's been so, for me, it's just, I love to see it for D to have this success, because he's a guy that just worked so hard. When we got here, I felt, I wouldn't say defeated, but he was definitely discouraged, and for him to flip this entire script on the perception of himself, it's been gratifying for me in a lot of ways. I'm proud of the kid.
He was a guy who, for whatever reason, a handful of plays, ended up being the target of a lot of online ire. If the fans are angry, they're going to find a way to holler at D online. And he says that is, he has internalized a little bit of that, or did. How have you noticed his resiliency that you mentioned, sort of coming back from that moment?
Yeah, just, as we've really refined his skill sets and pointed him in the right direction in a lot of ways, because he's the one that's put the work in. You just seen his confidence grow and grow and grow, and especially after a game like he just had, you see it even more. And then there's this light that's starting to come off him, this positivity. He's got some force multiplier to him from the standpoint of he elevates other people around him too with the energy he brings on a daily basis. So it's been a huge bright light for our defense.
Coach, you had a lot of time here with Kyle, plenty of time here.
Yep.
Does it look like he's changed a lot since when you worked with him here? Obviously things progress, but
right.
How familiar is that, for you to be able to look at his system and say, I recognize some of these?
Gosh, it's in a lot of ways it's almost nothing compared to what it was here. Like the way he grows on a yearly basis and how he evolves, it's not even, it doesn't feel necessarily like the same system. Like you think of Kyle, but you think of his last name, Shanahan, you think of play pass, you think of keepers and boots and outside zone and it's not that anymore. Does that exist? For sure it does, but that's not that used to be the staples. That used to be Mama. That used to be the stuff that he would do every game and in high volume. And you're seeing less and less of that. You see more drop back. You see more designer drop back. You see way more motion. You see way more window dressing to everything that he's doing. From the run game perspective, it's way more technical, and you know, it's a challenge. It's another one where you really better take a hard look at yourself, Scout, when you go up against Kyle Shanahan, because he's going to look really hard at the way you've been beat, the way you've been attacked, and you better make sure that everything that's been put on tape has been resolved.
When you face a guy like Josh Allen, you mentioned that you lose sleep and you have bags under your eyes and everything like that. How does that compare to a guy like a Christian McCaffrey or something like that?
Same as, yeah, because now you got a guy in Kyle that's going to find every way humanly possible to get Christian McCaffrey on the best matchup as he would see that. So every guy is going to have an opportunity to cover him. And when you're covering Christian McCaffrey, you got to understand he is the primary target on virtually every time he releases from the backfield. So it's going to be a great challenge for everybody because we're going to take turns and everybody's going to have an opportunity to cover him. And we're going to have to play our best football to keep up with them. You know, we really are. And a big part of that is you got to try as best you can to make him as one-dimensional as you can. You know, not Christian McCaffrey necessarily, but for the 49ers offense. So the the first challenge of this game is going to be able to really keep this run game under control as best we can.
You mentioned a couple minutes ago that you said going into last week it was your best week of prep. What goes into a good week of prep? How can you guys replicate it?
Yeah, I felt like the attention to detail. I felt the energy. I felt the focus, the communication, all of it was just starting to figure out from a collective group. Like early on, we had a few guys that really understood what it took. And that is just starting to grow and grow and grow and grow. And like I spoke to, the small amount of success that we have had now, I think is just creating more and more buy-in. So it's exciting to think about what this defense could become.
Regarding having Bijan here, does that help at all when you have to go against McCaffrey in a few days?
Oh, there's no doubt. Like what we saw in training camp, is hard to replicate with Bijan. I mean, he is a problem. He's a problem just like Christian McCaffrey's a problem. Having him, like being part of a team with him is pretty special. Like my son and I, and my wife, we watched some of his press conferences at the game. I know that you guys probably don't want to hear this, but it makes me proud of being like a Falcon. It really does. And I kind of feel that pride anyway. I do feel that pride, because of Arthur Blank and all that he stands for, and Raheem Morris and all that he stands for, and all that Terry stands for. But to be part of an organization with a player like that just, you guys tried to bait him about 15 times to say something selfish or self-promoting, and he would not take the bait. He is all about the team. He is as selfless as I've ever seen, especially from a superstar that's as good as he is. So he's a special football player, obviously. He's a special human being as well.
We sometimes wonder how he's, like a real person, to be as good as he is.
Yeah, it's like, is this real? Or is this,
yeah.
Man, it's real. Because he's the same human being every day, every time I see him. Like, whether he knows people are looking at him or not, he is that same genuine, authentic, transparent person. Pretty cool. Rare.
It looked like David Onyemata had a really good game out there Monday night. What have you seen from him this season as a veteran?
Our style, Heart My Fist, he is the ambassador of Fist. He is. You try to block him with one human being and you're going to lose. He is just, his ability to knock people back, get off blocks, and finish on the ball on a consistent basis is just, it's so unique. And when I see him move, because his reputation across the league is this, violent, tough run stopper. And there is more in the tank with him. He has more movement, more explosion, more pass rush than I think anybody fully recognizes. So it's to find more and more opportunities to let him do that, is exciting for me. He's very unique. He is so, Bijan, very much like him. He's very, selfless, and he's always about the team. So there's times where I'm trying to get him more selfish. Go get the quarterback. You don't have to just sit there at the line of scrimmage, explode, because he's been, I think, so trained to just stop the run. So it's going to be fun as we go along here, expanding his role and letting him rush a little bit more than he has in the past.
Could you speak to the play of the inside linebackers and how they have been playing? Might see him down the field breaking up a pass or in the backfield.
Between Caden and Devine?
Yes.
Really cool. To see, you have a vision of Devine when we signed him. We saw all the traits, we saw the ability, we saw the potential, but until you really get your hands on somebody, you don't know if he's going to actually realize that potential with that vision, and he has exceeded that. I wouldn't want to throw a dagger, dig, anything within the vicinity of him. He is a velociraptor in there. He is ridiculously fast and long, and the catch radius. It's just he's a problem, and he can. What's so unique is he can take away the dig that's 25 yards deep and then tackle the check down for 2 yards. It makes no sense. His range and speed, his athleticism, but also his instinct and his intelligence. It's been really cool to work with him. And then Caden is just, Caden plays outside linebacker. He plays inside linebacker. He plays spinner in our third down packages. He plays on the ball, off. He does everything, Plus he's the green dot. And our defensive calls, although I say that we major in simplicity, and we have some offensive play calls, where there is long tags and alerts and a front and a coverage and a stunt, and more than I've ever had to do. If I was the Mike, I'd have a hard time running this defense. I really would. But he does it all for us, So his versatility is a superpower, and it's just it's cool. We were just talking about it, can he handle that? And Barrett's always like, of course he can handle that, And yeah, he's been a huge part of the success here, and he's another one that, gosh, and I know I'm sounding a bit redundant right now, but the character of everyone, but Caden especially is so unique. Another guy that is 100% about the team.
Last one. Zach should be in right after this one.
No, you're good. You're good.
When it comes to preparing for San Francisco, and you go from, you don't know who's starting the quarterback.
I can shoot it, but we
back
want
in this
audio.
game. But first off, how do you prepare for a team that's as banged up as they are? But then on the other hand, what are the differences in this offense when you have Mac Jones versus Brock Purdy?
I think honestly they're very similar entities. They're both good quarterbacks. I fortunately I've had experience against Mac Jones, playing against him with the Patriots for. I think we saw him two or three times, and I always left those games very impressed with the quarterback that he is, and he doesn't get enough credit for the athleticism that he has, the mobility that he has. He is so in my opinion, him and Purdy are very similar players. You got to prepare in very much the same way, and obviously Kyle's going to feature him in similar ways as well. So. Not a whole lot there, and I really believe that the young tight end they have he's an ascending player that he can catch the ball. He's excellent as a receiver. He can provide some matchup problems, especially if you put him on a linebacker. So, and the McCaffrey's McCaffrey. So they are banged up a bit, but especially with Bourne coming on, it feels like they're at full strength right now from an offensive perspective. And I know they're not completely full strength, but they're going to be a challenge, a huge challenge.